New week, new outfit, and same old question. Do you have a pattern for that? We'll get to it in a moment, but first let me show you what I'm wearing today. Let's start with trousers. This is the most gorgeous racing green wool. This is suiting wool, which means it's like really lightweight and super drapey, and I absolutely adore them. And I pretty much wear them all year round on their own during warmer days, and in winter it's so easy to put a pair of leggings underneath and they will keep me warm throughout the day. And as for the tops, today I'm wearing two identical long sleeves. The base layer is this most beautiful ivory double knit cotton jersey. Double knit means that the fabric is built out of two layers. It's also known as interlock, but basically it doesn't matter what side you look at, the fabric looks identical, so both sides are right side. But what does it mean for wearing it? Double knit, in my opinion, is the most luxurious 100% cotton jersey. It has the softest, almost silky feel and is extremely pleasant next to the skin. It's an absolute joy to wear it and also really fun to work with it. And if I were to compare its weight to a t-shirt, I would say it's definitely a lot heavier. It's not as thick as French terry yet, but it has a lot more presence to it, which also results in the most beautiful drape. And unlike other 100% cotton jerseys, it has an amazing stretch and recovery. So if you were looking to design something which is closer to your body, interlock would be a fantastic choice. And I want to highlight one thing again. Tighter or looser fit is just a choice that you make. It's not a conversation about right or wrong. It's about what do you want from this garment. And in case of this fabric in this color, I decided once again to go for an oversized fit because I love my tops this way. And the top layer is exactly identical top, but this one is made out of the offcuts of French terry 100% cotton jersey. French terry is of course a lot heavier and thicker, and it holds the shape much better. And the main reason why this top looks so different is because it's made out of patchwork. And I love creating my patchwork intuitively, so I don't pre-plan anything. I just work with the sizes of the pieces that are left over. And the way I work, I first create a sheet big enough for a certain pattern detail, and then I cut my pattern pieces same way I would with any other fabric. That's the biggest difference. And right now I plan to wear this top as it is, just hanging over my shoulders. I love the interest it adds to the outfit, but if the weather takes a turn and it gets slightly cooler, I can of course layer it on top. And in this case, yes, the outfit becomes a little bit heavier, but that ivory top poking from underneath makes a lot of difference. That's it with the outfit. Now back to the question, do I have a pattern for all of this? And the answer is yes, but probably not in the way you expect. If you're new here, hi, I'm Lisa Bennett, designer, educator, and co-founder of Arkdefo, where we teach women how to work with their individual measurements and design and make garments that they will actually love to wear. The vast majority of everyday clothes is surprisingly simple to make, and you can absolutely learn how to do it yourself. And no, you don't need ready sewing patterns for that. You don't need to decipher complicated instructions or try and figure out how to make the pattern that was never designed to fit you. There is a much better way to create clothes. Every single sewing pattern starts with a basic pattern block. And the trick to making clothes that works for your body and your style and your fit preferences is to create blocks based on you. Let me show you how I use my custom blocks to create pieces for this outfit. How to design a pattern for a pair of white-legged culottes. On your basic trouser blocks, this central crease is the grain direction and also the length of your trouser. If you want to make culottes, all you have to do is to cut your pattern a little bit under the knee. This line will be parallel to your hemline. I start with the back and I just first copy the block as it is. On the back, we don't change much. From the hip line down, I made them slightly wider. Just allow the line to drop naturally down. And then I don't touch the inner thigh part, only below the knee line, make them slightly wider. So here is a new outline. That's my new inner seam, nothing changed at the crotch. Darts remain. That's it, it's ready, I can cut it out. Now in the front, things are slightly more interesting because we can add more width at the front by adding the pleat. Here's how I do it. I take my separate piece of paper, fold it, and I can just decide how wide I want my pleat to be. And now I take my pattern and align my center crease with the pleat. And now I copy it. It's my green direction. I want to add same amount as I added on the back. On the inner seam, this much. And on the outer side, this much. And I go ahead and extend my pattern from the hip down. We don't need this dart, but we could remove a little bit from the side. And now this is the final shape of my front pattern. And I cut it out. And the waistline I cut out, folded, and that's my new front pattern. Nice deep pockets are nice. I want slightly curved opening. Now I go ahead and copy the waistline, and now I can draw my pocket. So that's the base of my pocket. Now I draw the lining. I cut out my curve and go ahead and copy it here and cut it off. Here is my pocket pattern ready. The base, the lining, and the trouser. Next, I want to design the fly detail for the zip. I usually just design it straight on the fabric and I make it slightly longer than the zip, something like this. Last part here, the waistband. That's it. That's the entire pattern for my wide-legged culottes. How to make a pattern for a long sleeve top. I'm using my blocks without darts. For this particular sweatshirt, I'll be using my blocks with 40 centimeter ease. First, I copy my blocks as they are. And all I want to do here is decide how long I want my top to be. Let's say something like this. That's my length. What shape of the side seam do I want to have? I usually just do this. Front, back. What type of neckline do I want to have? I just keep it high up as it is. Same goes for the back. And the last part here is decide on what we're doing here with the hemline. First, I cut out my patterns as they are. I put them together, side seam to side seam, and I draw the curve here on the side seam. So say I want it to be till here, so I can have it this way. For the back, let's make it slightly shorter. And I cut it out. The one thing that is really helpful is here on the side seam at the bottom where your pieces connect, that this line is pretty much straight because it'll be much easier to turn it in later. A sweatshirt doesn't require this kind of fit, so I will change it into a sports sleeve. I copy this block as it is first and I cut it out. And I want to draw a funny shape that kind of resembles a fringe, like a curve this way. And somewhere in the middle, more or less, I also draw vertical lines this way. And now I will cut it from the armhole up the way, and then this little bit up. Same on the other side. I want to spread it open this way, a little bit up, and this way as well. Okay, on each side. The easiest way to do that is to glue it. So the main body of the sleeve doesn't change. Only these bits parallel to this original line. I correct my seam on the back, the curve, and on the front. And now I cut this shape out. Then I just use my new sports sleeve block as my sleeve pattern. And the last part is the trimming for the neckline. I measure it on the fabric. The way I do it, I usually first stitch the shoulder seams, measure the neckline, and then calculate minus 20% for the trim. Of course, it will depend on the fabric. The more you practice, the more you'll understand how different fabrics behave, and you'll be guessing the length of the trims intuitively. For plain 100% cotton, it's usually about 15-20%. As you can see, pattern drafting can be really simple and straightforward. Once you understand the basic principles, designing and making clothes becomes surprisingly simple. And if you would love to learn how to turn your ideas into garments that work for your body, then I invite you to explore our online clothes making courses via the link below this video. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Friday.